the thing is, we carry the burden of answering. We have decided to be lawyers of our gods.
Yeah. What were some of those questions that you were asking yourself? I would love to understand.
So I think one has to be open to what is being told.
How do you think schools should bring some pieces of mythology? Namaste, Jai Hind. This is the Building Bharat series. Welcome to Building Bharat. Here we are actually exploring what will it take to raise the India of 2050. Apart from technology, infrastructure, how do we create minds of tomorrow, and how do we create the India of tomorrow where all of us would like to live in? In this series, we speak to amazing people, the best minds in the country from various sectors, and today I have the most amazing guest with us. Today we welcome Devdutt ji. Thank you, Devdutt ji. Devdutt ji is an author, mythologist, thinker, and whatnot. And today is especially very, very special for me because this conversation can connect education back to its roots, can connect to India to its identity, because you've helped the entire country understand who the country actually is.
Thank you.
Yeah. So today we are largely exploring two areas.
Okay.
What growing up impacted you to be the person you are today, your schooling, your formative years, the way your childhood was, and largely, how do you think schools in today's times should look like if we have to raise more conscious individuals who will actually build the Bharat of 2050?
So, I studied in a convent school, and my teachers were from all religions. We had, I learned Ramayan from Mrs. Fernandez, Mrs. Lobo. We used to have plays in school. From Ekalavya ka play we have done plays from Jatayu, and I don't think we ever experienced any awkwardness in our school. It was, we learnt about different cultures, we learnt about different religions, we learnt stories from the Bible, we learned stories of Sikhism. Every event, every time there would be a festival, we would be told about the festival in the mic. Our principal would say, this is what the festival is all about. And we never, there was no kind of a discrimination of this is what you have to learn. And, nowadays when I hear people say, I think my childhood was where I always tell people, Mrs. Fernandez and Mrs. Lobo taught me Ramayan.
Yeah.
So here you have a mythologist who has learned his Ramayan not from his parents, but from his teachers who were not of the Hindu faith. But I don't think in India, these are part of our culture. And I don't think our teachers, I remember collecting feathers for Jatayu's wings and doing it with the teachers in a craft class. I don't think we ever thought about it as a religion or anything. We just enjoyed the stories and we learned from the stories.
Very, very interesting how you said that you learned Ramayan from people who are probably not Hindus.
Yeah,
right?
and we think of it that they wouldn't know, but the story is a story is a story. It's a good story is a good story. You learn from it. And I think we did also nativity plays. It's not that we did only Hindu plays. We also did nativity plays. We learned about from stories from the Bible, and we would perform this because wo theatre hota tha and class mein hota tha, and it was a boys' school, so we would have all these. I remember playing the role of Ekalavya. So the teachers we would practice. So that's my experience of life.
And sometime when I hear you, and very interestingly you say that students and people should interpret things from various different pieces, various perspectives, from perspectives of different characters. When do you think you started doing that growing up? And which would be your first memory, and how do you think it led to you thinking that way?
So I think when I would read the Amar Chitra Kathas or Chanda Mamas, the way many of my generation grew up, I realized that the storyteller was trying to tell me something which was not in the story. It was the storyteller's point of view. It was becoming very apparent. And I realized that when I went once to a bookshop and I picked up a book on the Bhagavata written by Kamala Subramaniam, and I realized I was hearing stories and reading stories which were not there in Amar Chitra Katha. And it was told very differently, and it suddenly struck me that the two people are telling me the same stories very differently.
So very interestingly, when we read history or in today's times with so much of AI coming in, we regularly talk to our teams and teachers that help children understand sourcing. Where is this piece of information actually coming from? So what you're actually telling is all of these books, if you don't understand sourcing and if you just consume content as is, they're going to change your perspective. They're going to lead you to a certain direction which might not be true.
True. The thing is, how do you do that with children?
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with a small child and you have to do a history class. The child needs a clear, it's really storytelling for him. He reads history as a story. And our problem is we do not know how to tell a story without creating a hero, villain and victim.
Yeah, a lot of times, in fact, I'll give you a very comic sort of an example from my personal. So, when there was this Mangalyaan incident happening and it did not land, but I was so ingrained that it was like a selective reality thing, right? I saw one YouTube channel which showed that it landed and I was forwarding that, So, I think that is what we're talking about, that we select our reality and then we consume information which says that, okay, this is the reality, and we ignore all the other information.
I think as children that's okay to do, but as we grow up, we should learn to detach ourselves from our own, see why is my reality, why am I choosing this reality and why are other people not choosing this reality. I think that is when maturity steps in, where at least in your private moments, when you step away and say that, okay, why am I always following a pattern of thinking and why do I not like an alternate pattern of thought. I think that helps. Without that, we don't have what is called Atmagyan. We don't understand ourselves. We don't appreciate other people's point of view. And I think that doesn't make us good leaders. Asking the question that how do you make a great Bharat? I think it is when you appreciate other people's truths. Especially a country like India, which is very plural and very different. We have rich people, poor people. Rules which apply to the rich cannot apply to the poor. Rules which apply to men cannot apply to women. Rules which apply in an urban ecosystem cannot be applied to a rural ecosystem. I think this is a very important quality that we need to develop. And I think mythology helps us do that because it is not the realm of fact, but the realm of concepts. When people tell me, is Ram fact? I'm saying you're missing the point. They're trying to communicate an idea. And the idea is far more important. And you're not interested in the idea. You seem to be interested in where did he live and how did he look and that you're so obsessed with something that you're not seeing what is being presented to you, the concept that is being presented to you.
And when you said that, when I was reading all of these books, like the Ramayana from Bengal and from different writers, slowly it started coming to you that, that there's something that is missing. So what were some of those questions that you were asking yourself? I would love to understand that, how can we really teach this to children, break it down for children today, to ask that whether this is the truth, not the truth, what is real, what is not real, whose perspective is coming here, what is the narrative somebody is trying to build through this text.
You see, I think it's important to look at Ramayan, right? In Ramayan, there is a character called Sita who goes through Agni Pariksha. You can't get a better proof than that. And yet, she is kicked out of the house. So the scripture is very clearly saying that no matter what proof you present, people's opinions decides what is going to happen to your life. Human society is based. So it's a very beautiful story told 2000 years ago that proofs don't make a difference. No matter how much you prove, if people have decided against something, they have decided. And I think that's something which is a very far-reaching consequence because in a court of law, there are two points of view being presented by there are two judges, there are two lawyers, right? One is proposing a story and the other is presenting an alternate story. And the judge has to decide which of these is true. Now, how does the judge know what is true? And we all know what happens in a court of law. Rich men can get great lawyers, poor people cannot get good lawyers. And which lawyer is able to convince? We'll say, oh, this person wins the case all the time. Does it mean he's presenting the truth? Or is just presenting a better argument? An argument is not a truth.
So you talked about two of your teachers growing up. What, apart from these experiences that you got of various cultures, what do you think? If you talk to a lot of people today, many will not say that I had a great schooling experience. It's a rare to find, right? What other aspects of your schooling or growing up experience you feel you really cherish today?
So I cherish I regret the fact that I didn't do a lot of physical activity, physical training. I hated it.
Okay.
And now as you grow older, you realize that how important,
Yeah.
I wish sport, I paid more attention to sport. I mean, I think we became too competitive, and I think I couldn't stand up sport if I wouldn't like a subject where I was not good at. And I think these are very bad things, because you don't have to be good at everything, and it's not the point is not to be good, the point is to experience.
Yeah.
And I think those things are something that I miss. What I liked in our school, some of the things I learned from my teachers is how to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
And of course, that was very early age. I mean, I realized what they were doing for me much later. But how to read a book?
Yeah.
I understood the value of punctuations because of a casual comment made by an English teacher. That if you read the sentence with a comma and you read the sentence without a comma, it has totally different meanings.
Totally.
And I think that was like a moment, and I said, oh, this is communication.
Yeah.
So I think those things just happen. I don't think the teacher planned to do it. In fact, I met the teacher many years later, and I said, you taught this. And she said, did I? I don't remember saying that. So I think one has to be open to what is being told. I'm sure there are other friends of mine who didn't like the school experience.
Yeah.
It was a boys' school, so I remember some of the friends of mine telling that we missed out on the fact that because we didn't have a proper healthy ecosystem where boys, girls both are studying, which is now the modern thing, right? We now say that we should not have boys' schools, girls' schools. That was the old model, but then I think those things I missed out. But I think what I learned from my teachers is how to study and how to be organized.
Yeah.
My teachers were very organized. We had a very systematic way of thinking, and I think that just went into my system.
Yeah. I love how you said that, your school taught you to ask questions, because, that is exactly what we try and do in schools. Because if we're able to do that, if we're able to make children ask questions, I think we've just done our job right.
So I have learned over the years that, see, my teachers would ask us, but they would not answer the questions. See, asking question is point A, but who answers? The teacher doesn't carry the burden of answering questions.
Yeah.
The student has to find the answer.
Yeah.
But he will only find the answer if he asks the question. So step one is asking the question. But step two is finding the answer. I think many a times, I think children, because they think questioning is good, they start asking questions to the teacher, and they feel the teacher is that model where, and you see this in America usually, the people are being, I'm like, the teacher doesn't carry the burden of answering the question. You are the student. But if you ask the right question, the teacher can guide you in the right way.
True.
And tell you what to look at. I always tell people that having a library doesn't mean you read.
Yeah.
If you're curious, you'll start reading. Our school, I struggled with reading. Today when I'm reading, I'm shocked how much I read today. I don't think I read this much in school.
Yeah.
But I think by exposure to the library, and the fact that every week you have to take a book and you have to write a name and then you have to talk about it. And I don't think we read half the time. We just took the book and just gave it back. And it was a ritual that we followed.
Probably just read the summary.
Or something like that. And today, because I think we were not told how to enjoy something.
Yeah.
I think many a times hand-holding helps. How to read a book. You don't have to read cover to cover. Even if you relish 3 pages of a book, it's great.
Yeah.
But at least start doing it. I think I wish my parents had spent more time reading. And I wouldn't, once I remember my mother saying, listen to the music, but listen to the words of the music. But I think a little bit of hand-holding helps.
Yeah.
And the brain is developing at that time, right? So the brain doesn't know how to do it. It finds it boring. It's not interested. And there's so much of pressure that it's not enjoyable.
Yeah.
I don't have the pressure anymore. So I think now I can afford to be curious.
Yeah.
But I think in school you just want to get the test done and you want to go.
You're running.
You're running and you want to just take that Sunday off and you want to just not. I think we all look forward to kab khul khatam hoga and we'll just rest for the holiday.
Yeah.
I think that pressure gets too much.
You're a mythologist and you've seen mythology from a very different lens where people haven't. How do you think schools should bring some pieces of mythology in? Because from your perspective, if I see mythology, it is something that helps you think. It's something that makes you curious. It's something that, allows you to critique and connect, and, so those are all the skills that schools today want to bring in: critical thinking, curiosity, inquiry. How do you see mythology creating as a tool to creating thinkers in school?
So I would, sort of do plays, because I think plays are very, acting out a role is very interesting, and getting people to perform small skits of small things, and then creating a toolkit where you ask questions without judgment, and say why did he do it? I think society is too judgmental.
Yeah.
But if I ask the question, why did he do it, rather than saying, is it right or wrong? So, for example, people are, if I see nowadays mythofiction writers, they try to justify the actions of a character.
Yeah.
And they're behaving like lawyers and judges. But instead of lawyers and judges, if we were to be like therapists and ask that, Ravan kidnapped Sita, not is it right or wrong, why did he do it? And then somebody gives a reason.
Yeah.
And I said, but let's look at the story from Sita's point of view. And how does she feel? And how does her feeling matter in the story? Now the story takes a different turn. I'm not saying Ravan is good, Ram is good, Ram Bhagwan hai, Ravan, because that's what people do. They were judging. This judgment cap that people put destroys a story. If you put a feeling cap, I will teach people about consent. I had once a very educated person saying, I don't see a flaw in Ravan. And I said, that's a great point of view. And I said, so consent matters, you think? He said, yeah, consent matters. I said, so but you just like a man who kidnaps a person and locks a person against their consent. And I think the person got very uncomfortable. I said, you just admire a man who doesn't respect a woman's freedom. What does it say about you? And he just became quiet. So when you ask questions like why, then he got defensive and said, but Ram kicked her out. I said, okay, great. Why did he do it? Can we understand that point of view? And what are the consequences of that action? What are the consequences of, what do people say about him? Let's look at the story from emotional point of view, the consequence point of view. Let's remove the judgment hat. And I think that is very difficult for people. Mythology works when you stop judging, stop imposing ideas, but make people think from an emotional point of view, which is called ras. So Bharata Muni said the stories have to be seen from a rasa and bhava point of view. How does a hero feel? How does a heroine feel? How does a villain feel? If you ever get a chance, you should see a Kathakali performance called Kichaka Vadham, the killing of Kichaka. And it is the villain is the Nayak of the story, right? The story is Kichaka a villain. But because in Kathakali, whoever is the protagonist of a story has to be worshipped. The first episode, whenever they start a performance, the hero is worshipped. Now Kichaka is a villain in the story, like a really bad person. But because he is the hero of the story, he will be worshipped. So see how it is done. And then through him, we learn how desire can drive us nuts. And he knows that he is doing something wrong, but he can't control himself. And he's like, oh my God, is it desire that is coming towards me or death? And so the story is not judging him. They're saying that see how in life we can sometimes get trapped with our desires and our lust and our vasanas and we can't escape it.
I'm wondering as teachers, because, a lot of times even your work has been criticized, right? If we go out and do things like this, because these stories are like identity for all of us, right? And when somebody, or if a grade 6-year-old child just comes and asks the questions why, and we feel that there's a direct hit on our identity, right? How should schools deal with that if we want to create use these stories for thinking and exploration? How do we really do it?
Answers the child. There is nobody responsible for answering the question. The thing is, we carry the burden of answering. We have decided to be lawyers of our gods. The reason people criticize my work is because we have been told for generations कि श्रद्धा होनी चाहिए. Now, if श्रद्धा होगी तो शंका नहीं होगी. अगर शंका नहीं होगी तो विज्ञान नहीं आएगा. Science is based on doubt. And the reason India was conquered by Europe is because they had science.
Yeah.
And they had science because they doubted. We decided to follow the feet of the Guru. We never questioned the Guru.
Yeah.
And and then suddenly we are wondering why we were conquered. We were conquered because we didn't study science. Science is based on skepticism.
Yeah.
The foundation of science is Shanka, not Shraddha.
Yeah.
So when a child asks a question, why does a parent or a teacher carry the burden of answering it? Let them figure. But you have to ask. You should ask the question. So it is okay for a woman to be treated this way? Is it okay? Is it okay? Is it okay? And I've done this because when I went to America, I had these young American kids asking me that I don't believe in. I said, oh, good for you. And then they didn't know what to say. I said, like, I'm not selling. I'm not a salesman. I'm not selling Indian culture to you. And you don't want to go wherever you want to go. Now they became defensive because suddenly their power came by telling their parents we don't like India.
Yeah.
And I'm like, good for you. Let's talk African culture.
Yeah.
Which culture do you like? And then I said, then they don't have any answers because now I have become the Vetal. I'm going to ask you the question. And I'm going to ask you. And then because this assumption that I carry the burden of Indian culture, this defensiveness, because there are so many dark things in Indian culture. Why do we not talk about our dark things? For every positive, there is a negative.
Yeah.
It's a SWOT analysis, right? We have strengths, we have weaknesses, we have opportunities, we have threats. Any businessman knows that.
Yeah.
India has also got a SWOT. China has something. I mean, I remember somebody telling me that, India was invaded. I said, tell me about the invasion of China. I said, we don't know. I said, you don't know the invasion of China? They were your neighbors. I said, tell me the history of Nepal. They don't know. And I said, they were talking about Aryans. So I said, let's talk about the Mundas. You know the people you're talking about Aryans who are from the West, but what about the Mundas from the East or the Tibeto-Burmese from the East? I said, I don't know. I said, you don't know so many things, but such strong opinions.
Yeah, you cannot have that. Yeah,
right? When you don't have all the information, you can't have strong opinions. So Jagat Mithya Brahma Satyam. So when I see the Gurujis talking and I'm like, I'm a scholar in front of them. Rather than asking me, they're busy telling me. Which means they are losing, but I am not answerable. So this is an important thing to remember, that we don't owe people answers. They have to find their own answers ultimately. If they said, I don't agree with you, they are fully entitled. But was I seeking agreement?
That's a good perspective. And in our conversations, you shared that you really enjoy working with teachers, educators, principals. I would love to understand that, if you have to guide them on how to develop curiosity in children. You've continuously used the word curious, and I'm very, very intrigued by that. So what would your advice be to them?
There is a very famous Indian storytelling tradition, it's 1,200 years old, called Vikram and Vetal, where Vikramaditya has to go to the crematorium and get a Vetal, a ghost, and bring it back. And the ghost, to bring him back, you have to keep quiet. But the ghost will always tell something, ask a question, and tell, how do I know you're Vikramaditya? If you don't answer the question, how do I know you're Vikramaditya? And the moment he would answer the question, the Vetal would run away. Now, one day the Vikramaditya cannot answer the question. He's very happy because he can't answer the question. And the Vetal looks at him and says, you're happy that you don't have the answer. And you're going to catch me and go, because now that you have caught me, but don't you see? In order to be king, you are expected to know the answer. The day you stop knowing the answer, you will never be king. So don't be proud of the fact that you don't know the answer. Because it was tedious and painful to get answer and I had to run behind me. A teacher is like a Vetal. Their job is not to give answers. Their job is to provoke questions. Nowadays we have ChatGPT. I always tell people, keep it in the classroom. Ask people, like today, when you say Vindhya Mountains, where is it? Is it a mountain? Is it a range? Where is it located? Which equator? And tell children to just
find
out and teach, help them enjoy being curious, because nobody is teaching them to be curious. Netflix doesn't care about their curiosity. It is just trying to make you a digital addict. Our smartphones, the best companies in the world want your child to be a digital addict, and you are also enabling it. But who is coaching children to not only be curious, but how to work on it? So every topic, we can spend time with ChatGPT, we can do workshops, we can workshop on everything. Still the child finds the act of searching for an answer fun.
Yeah.
And you can time it and say who will find it in 5 minutes, who will find it in 10 minutes, you can, gamify it.
Yeah.
But we have all the technology. Let's use these modern technologies and find out when the ChatGPT hallucinates.
Yeah.
It hallucinates and you're excited, hey, I caught the hallucination.
Yeah.
Now you turn everything into a game, but the answer, the burden of the answer is not in the textbook. It is not with the teacher. Our children have to be Vikramaदिtyas and we have to be the Vetals. I had once gone to one design institute and I said, I'll ask you questions which is not there on Wikipedia. And I said, read the Wikipedia, tell me why is a stupa? All the why questions. Sir, how is easy to find out, but tell me the why questions. Why do you think stupas were round? Why were they located here? I knew the answers, but you tell me. Why is this temple designed that way? Why does it face east? I said, no, I don't know the answer. I said, find out. Use your logic. Figure out, there must be, ask 3 people will figure it out and something will emerge out of it. And the process, they realize the fun of it.
Yeah.
So I think the dopamine rush when it comes with curiosity automatically will, rather than competition, which is what we focus, right? Our system is designed to make people competitive rather than curious.
Totally.
And that's not healthy at all, because now husbands and wives are competitive with each other.
Yeah.
Brothers are competitive with their siblings. We are creating unhealthy societies through competition. I think we can create a fabulous society by making our children curious about life, about themselves, and then automatically it gets more sophisticated, right? From physics, chemistry, biology, it will become mind. Mythology will force you to look at human beings. And as they grow, the curiosity levels will keep getting better. Everything. Why is the earth smelling so interesting after the rains? Or why is there fog? Or why is Banaras located in a particular way? And why is the food over here so different? Everything has. I mean, think about it. We'll have a chart, and that can turn into a all-nighter conversation on spices and flavors, and everywhere Saraswati is there. So there are 2-3 things. When children will always say, "Mereko teacher banna hai." Have you heard these children have this habit? What do you want to be? I want to be teacher.
Yeah. When they're small.
When they're small, and if you ask them, "Why do you want to be a teacher?" And later when they see the salaries, I think they get a little nervous, and the timings and the amount of administrative work that you have to do. It's not the romance of coming into the classroom, right? There's a lot of labor going into it. But as a child, you see the teacher's power. And that's what excites you. And somewhere teachers forget that you are in the classroom not for yourself, but for the student. This idea that the teacher is the source, this Guru Parampara, Shabda Praman, the Guru will answer, is a very ancient Indian model. So Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo. And I'm like, no. And there is a very famous, the Adi Guru of India is really a guy called Dattatreya. There was every December, full moon night in December is Dattatreya's Jayanti. And his teacher, he's the Adi Guru, the first Guru. And all the Machindranath, Gorakshnath, all of them will talk about Dattatreya. But if you ask Dattatreya who is your Guru, he will say, oh, the bird is my Guru. The tree is my Guru. The monkey is my Guru. The river is my Guru. So he is learning all the time. He's not saying that I have this person as a source of my answer. So Dattatreya, who is the teacher of teachers, says nature is my teacher. My curiosity enables me. Very different from the Guru Parampara, which is a 15th century phenomena. It was not there. In fact, this Guru Parampara is only 1,000 years old. It did not exist in the Mahabharata, Ramayan. There is no Shraddha. Teachers are paid, Dakshana, and the relationship ends over there. So I think we have got into this trap that I am the Guru and I'm supposed to answer the questions. But you are really the Vetal. You're the ghost. You have to ask the question. And Vikram and Vetal, or Vetal Pachisi, then there is Singhasan Battisi, where the throne asks the question, are you worthy of sitting on the throne? And tells a story, and tells a story. It's very introspective. Both of these stories are people think of them as children's stories, but they're highly introspective because there is no answer given. They're constantly challenging you. And I think because in our lives, we have to find our own answers, right? We have to make our own journey. And if a teacher doesn't make us strong enough, who does our push-ups, our mental push-ups, our mental gymming? That school is the mental gym. Get the neural networks out so they know how to solve problems, problem solving, critical thinking, critical empathy. analysis, synthesis. There's a lot of analysis, but no synthesis. I know gravity, but I don't know how to apply it. You know, I always I don't know if you noticed today when we were walking through the campus, I said, which tree is this?
Yeah.
And I immediately started searching for the tree. I immediately photographed. I remember where I saw it. Now suddenly you have seen the tree. Now it's triggered something in you. Imagine there is so many trees in your campus that botany is done.
Yeah.
You've taught botany. Once you start the animals, birds, so botany, zoology, chemistry. I always tell people in the kitchen there is so much chemistry happening. But we don't teach chemistry in the kitchen. We don't teach physics in the kitchen. And we don't, you know, I ask children, do you clean the toilet? They say, no, I don't. So I said, if you go and clean the toilet, you learn physics, you learn chemistry, because which chemical you use, why are you using this chemical, why is it making smell, why is that chemical good, which chemical, do you know the composition, mathematics, you start looking at the laws, then you see there is a law, you teach them law, so it's practical. This is missing in our schools today. It is, right now, I think education is very abstract. And teachers are also talking this abstract, they're answering these abstract questions. It's not, you know, like glass, this glass over here, we can just have a lovely conversation of when was glass invented, how is glass made, what is the chemistry, kahan se kharida, then you will say, oh, this is, oh, why is it made in China, why is it not made in India? That could lead to some political conversations, some chemical conversations. A little glass can provoke so many things if we are curious.
I was very intrigued how, you know, coming back to the tree, you did not leave it there. You actually clicked a picture, then that curiosity led you to take some action, you know, and I think that is something that we really need to build for. How can the questions lead to some action in the real world that you talked about? Analysis to synthesis.
Everything has to happen because it was not a casual question. I was not asking you to show my knowledge. I was not asking you to say that you don't know. Tumhari zameen hai, tumhara lad hai.
Correct.
No, I mean, I was not coming from there. I was just that I've seen this flower somewhere recently in a newspaper, and I'll tell you what this tree is. The Ram Janmabhoomi temple recently had a dhwaja arohana, and in that the tree is this tree. And I'm like, what a coincidence. I'd never heard of this tree. I hear this tree, I'm walking through the school in Banaras, and there is the tree. Did this gentleman know about this conversation? Did the Mali know about it? Why is it here? So my brain just burst into these 1,000 questions. And the gentleman said, nahi sir, wo paid hai. Then I said, yeah, that's probably the same tree. Then I Googled it. And I'm like, wow, that purple color. And I'm already intrigued. It's not a common tree. It's an unusual tree. And it happens to be an old tree. So I think that is fun because, you know, when you read mythology, I mean, to be frank, I never thought about the sun or the moon or the solstices. Mythology forces you to say, Sankranti ka matlab kya hai? You know, Ekadashi ka matlab kya hai? You know, right now you said na Lanka se leke aao. So I was like, I have heard this somewhere in Banaras. The two sides of are called different things. Why would they do that?
This is actually constructing knowledge because, you know, you're linking one piece to completely another world and making meaning from it. That's actually, so in educational theory, it's called constructivism.
So, so, you know, I was not like this before, right? But once you practice it, and I think that's what this class, if you transform the classroom into a brain gym, where our child's neural networks, like, you know, that's what China has done. It has turned their class, but of course, what have they done is a classroom of ants and termites who work very well, and but they're not people anymore. They've stripped the people of. That's why their fertility rate is dropping because people are so exhausted in their culture. They don't even want. They don't want children.
It's a long school day as well.
It's a long school. They're treated like animals who are being in a farm, which is being stud farm mein hai. So we now going to run an Olympic race.
Correct. If you were the Nayak in the movie and you had, you know, one day to take a couple of very important decisions for any school or a school system, the Indian school system, what would those be?
I think my first would be, I would find a way in which at least 1 hour of training every week for the teachers and 1 hour of therapy. Training because they learn new skills and refine those skills, and therapy is where they talk to each other so that they get out of the God mindset and discover what their real role is. It is for the children, it's not for them. They are here to earn a living, to have a decent job. There are the practical issues of career, but they also have to deal with difficult children, I think that 1 hour of therapy and 1 hour of training a week will help equip them to invest if they have to give, say, about every day they give 4 hours, so they give about, say, 20 to 30 hours of work, and they get 2 hours for themselves. I think you create a very powerful. I would invest more time on teachers. Second thing which I will pay a lot of attention is to how do I synthesize everything I learn in a classroom inside my house. How do I connect it to the bathroom?
Yeah.
How do I connect it to the toilet? The bathroom, toilet, kitchen, front room, rather than sitting on Netflix and chilling. I want to understand how made the phone, how did it become an LED TV? We grew up with those big TVs. What is an LED? Physics, chemistry, biology, it's all there. So I think everything we study in the classroom has an application at home.
So a lot of with AI coming in, education, really changing with AI coming in. And with AI, a lot of speed comes in, comparison kicks in, bhai, this is going faster. And वो सब के साथ आप कैसे grounded human beings, एक balance जिसके बारे में आप बात करते हो, your book about Bakasur, right? Yes. And where you say that competitiveness, ambition, all of that is the Bakasur that is really eating us. So आपको क्या लगता है कि बच्चे, how do we raise children in this time who are balanced और जो complacent नहीं है but calm है and they're happy in their space?
See, complacent people are selfish people. So right now we are saying we should not be complacent, we are making them competitive, who are also selfish. So we are raising selfish children. Because a competitive person is thinking about himself, a complacent person is thinking about himself. He's not thinking about others. And a society where human beings do not think of others is a very unhealthy society. This is what the modern society is. Modern society is a society which has become so individualist that we have isolated ourselves from the rest of the world. So I feel we have to move away from a consumption ecosystem and a conflict-based ecosystem to an ecosystem of curiosity, jigyasa. Because animals don't have curiosity. Only humans have curiosity. It is the only thing that see, animals are competitive, animals are combative, animals cannot afford to be complacent. We are following the animal model. We have to figure out what makes us human, and the only thing that makes us human is curiosity. I think we have the opportunity to examine our lives. It's Atmagyan. In Sanskrit, it's called Atmagyan. Jigyasa nahi hogi, to fir Atmagyan nahi hoga. So Saraswati stops flowing for a reason. And they always say Saraswati sukh gayi hai. It's a metaphor. People are looking for Saraswati. नहीं यहाँ पे है, वहाँ पे है, ऐसा कहीं नहीं है. तुम्हारे अंदर सूख गई है.
So क्योंकि इंडिया एक ऐसा कंट्री है which is built on stories and हमारी जो आइडेंटिटी है वो कहानियों के ऊपर और बहुत प्रिय है हमें ये कहानियाँ. So and since you are a man of stories, what would be the 5 ऐसी कहानियाँ जो every child growing up should definitely read, understand and be curious about?
So first of all, every culture has stories. But what has happened in the last 200 years is because we have become scientific, we don't value and understand and appreciate what storytelling is all about. And we have started believing the storytelling is some kind of a brainwashing technique. And if it's good stories, I'll brainwash it well. And if it's a bad story, then it is bad politics. And therefore you see people around telling stories to brainwash you. Without realizing what stories are and then neurophysiological. So first we have to understand what is this world of stories. And so the 5 stories that I would tell a child is nothing to do with Indian culture. I would tell a child, tell me a story of China. Why is China China? There has to be a story that makes, why does China love its walls? Great Wall of China, Firewall of China. Why are they so isolationist? Why do they lock themselves up? What story do they tell? Or I would ask, why would people from Arabia and Europe and America constantly proselytize and evangelize and say, we know the truth and this is the right way to live, and they're constantly selling, बेच रहे हैं. कौन सी story से ये कहाँ से आ रहा है? कौन सा story है ये? I think if you start telling people to look at other people's culture and then say that why do people in India think that they are great? कौन सी story अपने आप को बोल रहे हैं? कि आपको लगता है कि हम बहुत महान हैं, और why do you want to be great? Like, what is this ये desire to be great? Don't you want to be nice?
Yeah.
So I would help the child appreciate the world around him, the India which he ask the story. Why do you want to be great? Alexander the Great, क्यों? He burnt a library. He burnt a city. How is he great? So I think these are the curious. The stories have to be told. Even history can be studied, mythology can be studied, and I would tell people to, for me, that 5 questions: know more about China, know more about Europe, know more about your past of India, North India, South India. North India doesn't know South India. South India doesn't know East India. You know, I always tell people, what story? Tell me 10 tribes of Northeast India. वो नागालैंड में उठक जाते हैं. There's no tribe called Naga. So I think we should spend time, like every state. We have 26 states. If you could do one day a month, one day a week, in a month, you will revisit a state only once a month. You know, so I think those are the. I would diversify their storytelling. Like, what is the Ramayana and Mahabharata of Tibet? What is the story of Kazakhstan? What is the story of Australia? So storytelling is, while Indians have kept the tradition alive, it was there everywhere. We have to bring it back to the world. I think that would be something that we can contribute.
Yeah, very interesting. And the last question, since we're talking about the India of 2050, what do you think an educated Indian of 2050 should look like or would look like?
I think kind, or should look like kind. Would look, I don't know. Because I think we're still going, the best IIT, IIMs of the world and the best engineers of the world are now sitting in America with $1 billion, trillion in their account, creating instruments to make their own children stupid. Dopamine addicts who will never think because ChatGPT will do the thinking, because that intelligence is being outsourced.
Yeah.
So are these smart people or stupid people? Because these people were the smartest in the world and they have created technology to make people dumb. History will remember them as the creators of dumb children.
Totally.
And I think that is the world we live in, and it's time to call it out. So I think we are not on a healthy path, and we should pull back and ask foundational questions which make us nice people, decent people. And I think a good, successful human being is one who can create opportunities. People who create opportunities, not create people who are rich, but people who create opportunities. I work with a lot of rich and powerful people, and I always look at them and I'm like, but you don't create opportunities. You have hoarded wealth. And in our tradition, they are called yakshas. I said, yaksha ko hamesha niche rakha jata hai. हम तीर्थंकरों की पूजा करते हैं. So I think these are ideas that need to, 50 years later, if people are nicer, kinder, and more empathetic, and creating opportunities for others, I think it will be a great society.
Thank you for the conversations. This was also a time where this is also my masterclass, sitting right across you. So I definitely take back that, how do we bring multiple stories to children, like one week, one state story, and how do we allow children and help them see the world from a different person's perspective. That is a big takeaway for me.
Thank you.
Yes,
thank you so much. Thank you.
And this was one of the many dialogues that we've had on Building Bharat. So stay tuned, follow for more, and let's explore India through the best minds of the country. Thank you.